Welcome everyone to another episode of Study of X. I am your host Tim, and this is a podcast where we talk about the Krakoan era of X-Men comics in chronological order. With me as always is Sergio and Chris.
Hi, hello. Today we say goodbye to a very good friend.
Yep, so we got our last three issues here of, we got issue 6 of New Mutants, issue 6 of X-Force, and issue 6 of Fallen Angel. And with that, we have reached the conclusion of Fallen Angels.
And I'm still heartbroken about it. I can't believe it's over.
You know, it's not about the destination, it's about the journey.
I can't believe how daring they were for this issue. I cannot believe they just filled 28 pages with white space.
Yeah, it's very bold. But I'm not gonna lie, you say white space, but the issue I read definitely had more than white space. I'm excited to talk about all of those exciting pages with you all.
Did we love it? Did we not? I mean, you're gonna have to wait and find out.
Yep. So
let's get right to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not quite get right through to it. We're going to talk about the other two first. But so first up we got New Mutants number 6. You want to take us through it, Chris?
Of course. So with New Mutants number 6, Not As Hoped, it is written by Ed Bryson and was released towards the end of January 2020. And we are back with our friends in Pilgrim, Nebraska, as some of them are being held hostage by a gang member, mercenary? I'm not sure what you would classify this guy as.
Member of a cartel, I guess. So I'd say gang member.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, our friend here has, shown back up. He still has his power-dampening missiles, which Boom Boom is now finding out about, as she is very drunk and very ready to party, but not fully.
Boom Boom showing up here with just a bottle of booze and just kind of like, hey, I just saved your life it's a good vibe. I like the glasses.
You kind of get a lot of who she is just by her intro, which is really nice. You can clearly tell that she's here for A, the fun, doesn't care about the details, and C, is still kind of sad that she was left out of it in the first place.
Yeah, Boom Boom showed up and saw some dudes with guns, was like, hey, that's bad, and immediately jumped in. And I kind of respect it. It's that go-getter attitude.
Yeah, she did arrive at the right time.
Yeah.
She really did, and it's good for her that armor is right there to save her from another missile.
Yeah, but her powers are now dampened.
I like how Armor's the only one who conveniently doesn't get hit by any of these power dampeners.
Yeah.
I believe she did when they first showed up, but afterwards she just kind of never got her powers back. But
yeah,
also they did have hostages, so it makes sense.
Well, she's got the color on her as well, so I'm guessing they still have those on.
True. Which, speaking of, we're actually going back down to the basement where Glob and everybody else is down there being held hostage. And Glob also has a collar on, but I don't think it's dampening any of his powers.
Well, you can't really turn that off.
Yeah, I figured you can't really undo being see-through and pink, so it just seems kind of funny that they put it on him anyway.
Yeah.
I don't know, it feels like a coward move to me. We've seen plenty of people melt, and we are about to see other people melt throughout these issues.
Well, that is a very
Something
dark way of putting
happened.
that. You know what?
I'm not saying that Armor should have melted, but something should have happened.
You're not saying she should have, but you're not saying she shouldn't have. There's a line there.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of Glob, he's kind of upset at the two kids because they made the gunmen shoot each other, which they figured, well, they were going to shoot us, so might as well just shoot each other. But Glob has a point that it's going to alert everybody else, as it does, as another gang member shows up.
This is funny to me. I like this scene a lot. Glob, you feel like he's going to object on a moral level, and no, it's just tactics. Now that they've shot each other, the other people are gonna come down with guns, and that's bad. I I don't know. It's interesting. Like, you feel like it's going to go one direction, then it just does not do that. And then he explains to them that it's better to take them out silently as he's choking out a dude.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that part I really liked, where he's giving him this lesson and also choking somebody out as he's trying to wait to go up the stairs.
Yeah, like, look, this is good idea.
Yeah, he does make a point of saying they want to inflict the minimum amount of damage possible. So at least there's a little bit of conscience there.
Yeah. Like, I do think Glob just seems like a good kid.
Yeah, I get the feeling that he understands that some violence is needed here, but you don't have to go all out and just murder them.
Yeah.
Which, unfortunately, the gang members don't get, because as Beak is leaving the basement, he just gets shot right in the chest.
Yeah.
And it's
he really shouldn't be looking back as he exits the basement.
Yeah.
No, that very, very bad idea on his part, but also just a very dramatic shot of him just walking out, and then just a big text of the sound effect and just blood shooting out from him.
Yeah,
his whole chest like explodes.
Yeah, it gets very dramatic real quick, and yeah, that looks bad.
Yeah, and this kind of follows with the rest of this issue, because I would argue that the rest of New Mutants has not been very overtly violent in any way, and then all of a sudden this issue comes along, and we are going to get a lot of death very quickly.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting, because it does feel like the vibe of this is mostly still, like, decently relaxed. We're doing fun stuff, but then, like, there's real violence that happens in this issue where it just kind of sobers up the whole deal.
Yeah, which I could argue is a commentary on many other things, especially of different social minorities, how they are picked out, like Tumulo did with the mutants here. He went on a website, found out where people were saying, hey, these are where the mutants live, and then came here and did this. You know, sure, not all of these situations always escalate into this sobering level of violence, but they can, and sometimes they do.
Yeah.
But our friend Tumulo is going back into the house, where he finds everything is kind of a mess. One of his fellows is being puked on, the other is being brainwashed, and Glob is trying to keep Beak alive.
Yeah, this is a good page. Also, just of note, he sicks some goons on Boom Boom and Armor, so that's what they are up to while all this is happening. But yeah, I love that, again, you just kind of turn the page into this, and it's just this scene of absolute chaos on this panel.
It does feel very much like that Community meme of
yeah.
The door and everything.
Yeah, it does.
The pizza, yeah. Yeah, so things are going bad. The kids immediately convince the goon they brainwashed to start shooting at Tumulo. And things are a little bit chaotic in the house at this moment.
Yeah, I wouldn't say they learn their lesson from Glob, because, again, they just go straight to violence.
Yeah, just shoot that guy. Which, honestly, probably one of the better ways out of that situation.
Yeah.
Like, sometimes violence is appropriate, and that was probably a situation where this big dude comes into the room and things are a little bit of a mess, where you maybe want to just throw down some bullets, Boom Boom is drunkenly kicking a goon in the face.
Mm-hmm, and showing off that even when drunk and without her powers, she can still kick ass when she wants to.
These, I think we kind of skimmed by it a little bit, but the goon's kind of running up, and one of them commenting that, like, noticing that Boom Boom is drunk is kind of just funny. Boom Boom mentions she's been on Black Ops teams since she was like 12, which, she joined the New Mutants, and not long after she joined, it just turned into Cable's X-Force, and,
nice. Turned these young mutants into soldiers.
Yeah, at that point, the team was not very... It didn't have many members that were the old members. It was mostly just, like, Cannonball. I think Sunspot was there for a little bit, but most of the other New Mutants had moved on at that point. But he did turn some kids into child soldiers, yes. Which I guess you could argue is what the X-Men are.
Yeah. I would say that's correct. Even back at the Xavier Schoolhouse days, that's kind of what it was. It was all under the pretense of, okay, you guys can A, defend yourself, and B, we will go be heroes and show them how good mutants can be. But he was essentially making child soldiers at that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, cannot go wrong with instrumentalizing children for your needs.
No, absolutely not. So yeah, they make quick work of these goons. A pretty
Armor does a good job too.
Yeah, she knocks one dude in the head. The other guy gets hit with a rocket launcher. And when we say hit, I mean like Boom Boom swung the physical rocket launcher at his head.
Mm-hmm. Because unfortunately it was out of rockets, which she's very sad about. But makes a good improv weapon.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. Solid little fight scene there. It was fun. Meanwhile, here's the serious stuff as Glob runs out carrying Beak, who is bleeding out.
And does not look good. And we also learn from Boom Boom that, yes, she did walk here. She is not going to drink and fly, which, good for her.
No, she didn't walk here. She took a drive, which I think is like the Don't Sue Us version of Uber.
You are correct. That was when Armor was asking about the Blackbird.
Right.
So instead, yeah, she just took an Uber. Which doesn't really help them now, considering Beak really needs a hospital, and the only actual transport is Tumulo's massive truck.
Yeah.
So, but good for them, they can hotwire his truck, but as they are doing so, there is a loud bang that comes from the house, and this is where we are reminded that Beak's parents have not been brought outside.
Yeah, I really like this page also. Like it seems like all heroic, like, oh yeah, we're doing it, we're getting out of here, and as soon as Glob mentions the parents, you hear like you get this sound effect of the bang over like everybody's face just turning to the house, and it's very chilling. Like they're immediately the New Mutants kind of spring into action, are like, hey, we're gonna go check it out. You get them to the hospital. Like something, I think everybody realizes at this point that something has gone down that is not good.
Yeah, and what you had mentioned earlier about how the tone of this still has its kind of lighthearted, funny to it, but when it gets very serious and grounded, it does it very well and can transition to that in a really, really solid way. The bang does a very good job at that, and I'm glad that there's really no pause of everybody being like, oh, what's that? What happened? It's like, no, we're just gonna jump into it because we have seen and dealt with this kind of thing before, so we need to go handle this problem right away.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I found it very jarring, and it makes me feel like the issue is very uneven as a result. Because yeah, you said it. It's been very lighthearted. It's been very comedic, and even after this page, it's still going to try a couple of comedic things, and it kind of stops working because I don't think the levity mixes well with the somber tone that the issue is about to like take.
Yeah, and it gets real somber real fast, which I don't think helps. Yeah, there's. For the most part, I would say it works, but I definitely understand getting like a jarring vibe from this. Like it's very sudden, like all of a sudden, like it feels like Boom Boom showing up drunk just leads to like, oh yeah, this is, business as usual for the New Mutants. They can handle this, and then things get a little bit real here as Tumulo comes busting out the door holding Beak's dad as a hostage, who is crying about his wife who was killed just a couple of seconds ago.
Yep, and he has a demand for them. They all have to get out of his truck or he will pull the trigger because he is holding a gun to Beak's father's head. Which Angel comes back, Beak's wife, and says, no, you are not going to leave. I'm not going to let you leave after what you've done to me and my children and my husband and everybody else. But that doesn't work.
Yeah, I I don't want to undersell it. I feel like this is a pretty like emotional moment here for Angel. Um, yeah, she's pretty much in tears, just giving this speech about how they were forced out here because they just wanted to be left alone, and people still came and found them, and they're gonna go Krakoa now. Like, you win, we'll just leave.
Yeah, which I feel like is probably one of the more sobering moments of this whole issue. There's a moment later on also, but her also in tears just talking about, hey, we came out here so we could just live our life. Be who we are without anybody staring and laughing at the kids or anything like that. But still somebody hatefully hunted them down and found them out, and now people are just dying.
Yeah, and
It's heartbreaking.
yeah, and she gives him an ultimatum, like, drop this gun, we're not getting out of the truck, we need to get Beak to the hospital, you're not going to kill him either. And he says, Tumalo just looks at her, says, uh, mentions the Boehm cartel, which I think this is the first time this has been brought up, unless this was mentioned.
Yes.
Yep. He says, they do not give up, they will keep coming until they get what they want, and he is not leaving here. And then he shoots Beak's dad in the head. Says there will be more after them, or after him, and that his government will react when they hear that several of their citizens were killed by mutants. And then he puts the gun to his head and kills himself.
Ooh, yeah. It's very different than anything else that the New Mutants line has done so far.
Yeah.
Very different. And I think it's odd for me to say I think it does it well. I think that's a very odd way to put it. But you can feel the gravity of the situation and what he's talking about as compared to, a couple pages ago when people were joking about being drunk.
Yeah, I also think, like, it kind of goes along with what we saw a couple of pages ago with how much the bang is emphasized here. Like, on the page here where he shoots the dad, like, it doesn't show, like, his head being blown up. It's almost a panel space of just the word bang, but done in, like, blood red.
Yeah.
And
very well done.
Yeah, and then when he shoots himself, you see, like, the sound effect that's, like, over Boom Boom, Angel, and Armor just staring in horror.
Yeah, it doesn't really work for me. I find
fair.
it too disruptive from the tone that it had before. It seems gratuitous to a degree to me. And Boom Boom's behavior in general is kind of takes me out of the whole thing. After this guy comes out of the door holding the elderly man, crying about his wife, what she's saying is, so this is the guy?
Yeah.
And then she just does not say anything until she reacts to the second shot, during which he kills himself. And then afterwards, her next line, a couple of pages later, is about not getting cell reception, so that she can get picked up. I think these pages are well done in another context. I think the levity of the surrounding pages really take me out of this scene.
Yeah, I definitely, I can see why it doesn't work. I think Boom Boom showing up feels like it's adding levity to the situation. Like, oh, it's Boom Boom, the tension's gone now. Like, she's here to kind of save the day a little bit, and she does kind of a little bit, but then it just hard turns the tone, and it almost feels like Boom Boom was almost being irresponsible with how she kind of strolled up in here.
Yeah.
And it's odd. Like, it does feel like it kind of wants it both ways, where it wants to kind of have that, oh yeah, this is, it's X-Men, it's fun, we're having a good time, we're stopping the bad guys, but also, like, here is some very real violence. And the idea might have been for those two tones to clash like that, but I kind of do see what Sergio means, where it doesn't quite nail it because of that. Like, there is a different world where it's one or the other here, and
Yeah, I guess we've got these families, very personal for all of them, tragedy unfolding around these characters who we've mostly seen joking around. So it does seem a little bit disruptive.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I can see that. For me, it works. Where it stops working is that moment that Sergio mentioned where Boom Boom is going to joke about not having cell reception. I feel like if that was taken out, I feel like it would have worked a little more for me. But all of the lead up and the transition into all of this violence, it still works. I don't really know how to describe it properly, but I feel like it's done pretty well. And it is very jarring, but I also feel like that's the point.
Yeah, I think if the tone stayed somber for the rest of the farm scene, I think it might have worked. But yeah, the boom boom joke does kind of ruin it a little bit. But we'll talk about that when we get there. We got a data page here about the Bohm cartel.
It's a cartel. They make a lot of money. They move a lot of drugs. One side of their organization is named after colors, which I think is pretty neat.
Yeah, let me say I'm not too happy about the portrayal of Central American and South American countries in the X-Men so far.
Yeah, that's fair. It very much just kind of went heavy on the cartel stuff. It is like, this is, yeah.
We're gonna have two separate examples in this episode of Central and South American countries.
Yeah, and
they kind of melt into each other in the worst ways possible.
Yeah, this one is very much just they made a Latin American cartel. Like, this is a cartel you would see in like any other form of media. It feels very like a white dude did this.
It's the very negative stereotype turned into a villain.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, as someone who lives in a Central American country, like seeing names like these that sound like people I may know deployed for the first time in what's been covered of the podcast so far in this context, not very pleasant.
Yeah. El Amarillo. Yeah,
yep, that's how that's pronounced.
we have a city in Texas called Amarillo, which is where I would get that from. How is that actually said?
Amarillo.
Oh, okay. But yeah,
it means yellow.
Yellow? Oh yeah, this is what's the color side of this one?
The left side with El Rojo, El Verde, and all the others.
Yeah. I should have looked up translations for these, but I did not do that. I don't know how much we end up seeing of this cartel, but
I don't think it's much.
Yeah, but yeah. So we go back to the actual issue, and we're getting beat to the hospital.
Yep, with some snippets in from the kids who saw everything, and no time to deal with that because Beak is still dying. So they drive off. Which leads us to our very unfortunate remark from Boom Boom as she jokes that there is no cell service, with a full page of Glob clearly not having a good time.
Yeah, and it's... The thing that bothers me about this page is I think this would have honestly... I think this could have worked. Like, the scene of the farm just, like, ruined like this, and having, like, the characters look kind of devastated is kind of... Like, looking at Glob, I think it works, and even Maxine and Manon, I feel like, are reacting how you would expect them to, but then Boom Boom's just kind of messing with her phone, looking bored, and yeah, it's odd, tone-wise.
Yeah, I almost feel like this was a decision of, hey, we just covered a lot of very heavy stuff, throw in a joke to lighten up the tone.
Yeah.
Which, you don't need that all the time. It's okay to let the feeling simmer.
So, we get another data page here of a DOX article. Our good old friends Docs.
Mm-hmm. And very quickly turning this situation into an anti-mutant propaganda because this apparently was all caused by mutants, and they are the killers in this situation.
Yeah, Doc's 4 member Sapien Superior 247 had got some reports in the local police department showing that the mutants descended upon this area and then a bunch of devastation happened. Must have been them. They'll report with a story soon. There's a line in here about how Beak and Angel were former members of the X-Men and the New Warriors, and I was kind of curious about that New Warriors thing. Apparently, both of them were depowered in the M-Day stuff, and a bunch of other depowered mutants and them formed a team of the New Warriors after that. It's kind of cool.
That's kind of neat. So when you mean depowered for Beak, did he look like just a normal guy without all the bird parts, or did he keep that?
I don't know.
Okay. For Angel, Angel's pretty obvious. She can't vomit acid anymore, which sounds like a plus.
Yeah.
But for Beak, I don't know.
Yeah. I'm kind of...
Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
No, yeah, go on. What were you saying?
Oh, what I was gonna say is my thing with this page is it kind of confuses the metaphor. I don't understand if this whole story is about minorities feeling like under threat and propaganda being made to stoke the flames of hatred against minorities and other stuff we've seen that's similar to this in X-Men. Why are they confusing the metaphor by making the main threat in this issue an external one? Like systemic racism and hate do not come from mercenaries.
Yeah, like a cartel.
Drug cartels, exactly. I feel like they're kind of being cowards here, turning what is a pretty clear metaphor for like white supremacy propaganda into a kind of business deal about a country not having access to drugs. It's really confusing. This doesn't really work for me. Like that, if you're gonna be making a point about how these publications exist under different contexts for people that are actually under threat, I don't think those peoples are getting raided by drug cartels and paramilitary operations.
Yeah, I would say it almost feels like the issue was kind of unsure whether to like go for the metaphor or do more of the plot building stuff, and I feel like the idea is for the cartel to show up later. And that's where I do think it gets kind of muddy because yeah, I do think it would work better if it was just, you know, maybe a hate group or something instead of just like this cartel who doesn't really have an axe to grind against mutants.
Mm-hmm. It was just a business opportunity, as he said earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Angel's whole speech about how they moved away so they could get away from people that were staring and pointing at their kids and stuff like that. These are not the people that were staring and pointing at their kids.
Yeah.
These were some very opportunistic, like mercenary guys.
Yeah.
Trying to use them as an excuse to force Krakoa's hand. Yeah, which doesn't really fit in with the speech like at all. Yeah, I feel like the ideological backing of this issue is very disjointed.
Yeah. I think like the idea, like I feel like you can pretty easily see what they're going for there, but yeah, I see what you mean as well. It doesn't really work with exactly what they're trying to do, and it probably would have been more effective if it wasn't just some cartel dudes
from another fake country. You know, and now that you've brought it up, Sergio, I actually would have loved the version of the story that was like, hey, here is an American anti-mutant group who track these folks down and are doing this, one, to get the medicine, and then two, also to prove a point, you know? I would love to see that version of this story.
Yeah, like I think it might have been suggested at some point in one of the previous issues. It's been a while since we were even in this story thread. But I don't think these paramilitary guys that attacked the farm even read this publication, or are the publications like target audience?
They did mention that they used it to find them.
Yeah. But I think you're right that it's not the target audience.
Yeah, like
you know?
these are people
like Docs forum member Sapien Superior 247.
Like that's not this guy.
Has nothing to do with this drug
This dude,
cartel.
yeah.
So back on Krakoa, they managed to get Beak to the healing gardens, I guess.
Mm-hmm. And a good thing, too, because he's doing pretty good, as are the kids and Angel. In fact, they're in a very, very good mood, considering Beak's parents just died.
Yeah. So, yeah, and Beak mentions that he's happy that nobody else got hurt and that being shot sucked, and Armor realizes something has gone wrong. Glob mentions his parents. Beak looks confused and was like, yeah, they died a while ago.
Mm-hmm. Like, hey, what do you mean, my parents? And thankfully, Armor susses that out immediately and knows what is going on. Because she pulls Glob away and tracks down Maxine and Manon immediately, where they spill that, yes, they did change all of their memories.
Yeah, so all of them now believe that their parents died a while ago and they already grieved and don't have to do that anymore. Because apparently they couldn't stop crying. Armor says this is a very bad idea. You shouldn't do this to people. You can't do this to people. They say they're trying to help and offer to put all their memories back. Armor then says, no, we're just going to leave it. Which, I don't know. Armor, you sure said a lot about how you shouldn't do this and he's going to find out, or they're all going to find out at some point and it's going to be a whole thing. Maybe don't just leave it.
I don't know, this is a very hard decision for Armor where she is at this point. Because if you think about it, if she had said yes, bring it back to them, she's asking for them to be put back into a whole lot of trauma and turmoil and everything else that they're going to have to work through, where she just saw them and they're doing pretty good. They're all happy, they're all together. And, her choice is leave them like that or bring them back to misery where they can't stop crying and grieving what happened. That's not an easy choice.
Yeah, memory manipulation as a concept is just kind of gross.
Yes.
I don't kind of want to get into it. I think it's kind of cheap to take advantage of this personal tragedy to advance or further these two horrible kids' development. But yeah, someone should probably keep an eye on them and not let them go on their own before they mess with things horribly.
Yeah, I would not let them around like anyone.
No. I'd probably keep a very close eye on them. Which, Sergio, now that you mention it, I do wonder what the choice or the decision was behind doing this, because this is at the end of the issue, where they are all discussing this, and they technically didn't have to. This didn't have to be a plot point, a way to push them forward, get Armor to talk about it, but yet here it is.
Yeah, I mean, I guess they had to tie up whatever they were doing with the kids. They did bring them along, and they didn't do much other than get some people killed.
Yeah.
But they probably had to put them in a better place, quote unquote.
Yeah, quote unquote there. And I suppose it does wrap up for now Beak and his family. They are finally on Krakoa. They're together. For now, that plotline is done, until eventually if they find out what happened.
Yeah, and I guess that's the end of the issue.
Uh-huh.
Yes, that is the end of that issue. For the next one on New Mutants, we are going back to space, so we're going to go see what happens there.
Yes.
And
this will be wrapping up the Jonathan Hickman storyline over there.
Yes. So we will be seeing the end of that as well. New Mutants will keep going for a good while, but for Hickman's role in it, it is going to come to a close.
Yeah.
So, and I feel like we've covered this issue pretty thoroughly, all things considered. I think we all have pretty different feelings where we've landed on it. Did you two have anything else you wanted to add before we hop on over to X-Force?
No, I think I got all I wanted to say.
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. Then moving on, we are at X-Force number 6, Intelligence, written by Benjamin Percy and also released towards the end of January 2020. Before we hop in, I just want to say I really do like this cover. I think it's very silly, where Beast is jumping on a bunch of men in black, essentially, but he's very casually reading a book while he does so.
Nondescript government agents.
Yeah. Just some dudes.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. This issue's called Intelligence.
I wonder what that's going to be about. But we're going to find that out pretty soon, as we are jumping into another slightly problematic Central American country that was made for, the Marvel Universe, as we're at Terra Verde, where X-Force has been sent on a mission to deal with some sort of plant monsters. As this is going on, we get a monologue by Beast saying that X-Force is his dark orchestra, and each of them has a piece in it, but that he, Beast, is the conductor of said monster.
Yeah, also just for a little bit more scene setting, the X-Force team here is Wolverine, Kid, Omega, Domino, and they brought Jean Grey this time. So, got a little monologue here about Beast and what everybody is instrument-wise, including Sage.
I'm not a fan how quickly Beast took to being the shadowy CIA director. He kind of just fit right into that slot and was like, all right, let's get my hands dirty.
Yeah.
I I don't know. This feels like the idea a kid would have of what it's like being a director of a shadowy kind of Black Ops team. It's so funny to me. This feels like someone's Reddit post about how they worked as a CIA operative.
Oh, it's like
absolutely.
I am the mind. I am the conscious.
Yep, as Beast sits in front of a bunch of data watching the X-Force do their mission and telling them specifically what to do at each moment. It's very much a Hollywood idea of what a CIA director should be, or a leader of a shadowy intelligence organization.
What, you don't think most CIA directors think of themselves like a father chasing after his toddlers, foretelling every steep drop and sharp edge and choking hazard?
As said toddlers rip to shreds a bunch of plant monsters? I don't think so. At least not on the daily.
Yeah, my note here is just that Beast is pretentious.
Yes. Yeah, that's a very good one-sentence summary there.
Yeah. So yeah, after this little spread, we get a data page called Xavier's Confession. Apparently, Xavier got himself killed on purpose.
Mm-hmm. Just kind of, not openly, it doesn't openly say it, but it practically does say, hey, we needed a unifying force other than this ideology, and my death would be great for that.
Yeah, you kind of can very generously read it as he was begging for it rather than outright helping it happen.
Yeah, but like he wanted this.
But that's the gist of it. Yeah. Let's do a false flag.
Yeah.
Yes.
Everyone loves them.
I'll die and then I'll come back after the fight, bring me back, and then everyone will have a little flag to rally behind. And
Yep.
Mm-hmm. I mean, one of the lines is actually Krakoa needed a Pearl Harbor.
Yep.
Cowards. That's not the right comparison.
Nope, it really isn't.
It's 9/11. You know it. Like,
we said it when it happened.
Yeah.
This was Mutant 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
They cowards wouldn't print it.
Yep. No, they would not. This is Pearl Harbor. Don't you lie to me, Percy.
Editorial saw the original one where it said 9/11, and they were like, no. You can't do that.
I do fully believe that Percy would have originally wrote 9/11, and the Marvel editorial had said no.
Oh, absolutely.
That is the exact type of Percy is edgy enough where I absolutely believe he would do that. So then we go to yesterday, where Xavier is meeting with the president of Terra Verde, who is going to sign the treaty for Krakoa.
Uh-huh.
Hmm. And before he is able to do so, in the middle of his speech, a few of the members of the audience turn into these plant hybrid people and begin to attack him, as Black Tom is here as Xavier's security and essentially just tells him, "Get down, Mr. President."
Yeah, and says, "Not today. Nobody's getting through." And then they leave.
Yeah.
So then we go back to Krakoa. Beast is clearly not buying that they just left.
Nope. In fact, neither is Sage. The only one that is Black Tom.
Yeah. Black Tom is very sure of himself that he scared these guys off. Good for him.
Yeah, that's basically where I'm at. It's like, good for you, buddy. I'm glad you're confident in yourself. You're wrong, but good for you. And immediately he is proven wrong, because as Sage goes through all the tapes, she finds that these plant men have taken the president's son.
Yep.
And then we are back in the presidential estate in the East Wing, as the president is being bandaged up by a doctor before Beast comes in, punches the doctor out cold, and he and Jean essentially interrogate the president.
Yeah, so Jean seems to be under the impression they're helping this guy, which is why she's doing this, but yeah, they did break into this man's house. But yes, she figures out that the people holding his son were scientists who got real into fluorenic stuff, and he thinks that they've been infected and have lost their minds.
Uh-huh. The bad plant science. Opposite to Krakoa's good plant science.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, apparently not really, as Beast will say later. But yeah, they think they're hostile.
Yes, at least the president does, and Beast will put on the front that he believes that it does.
Yeah, so Beast says we're gonna go get the sun back, has Jean wipe the memories of them all except for the president, who he wants to owe them, and then leaps off into the night like a real fucked up Batman.
Yep, and now that you've pointed out that this is kind of what a child would imagine a CIA director would be like, I can't unsee it, because Beast showing up here and interrogating the president of another country is absolutely something that a kid would come up with. And I think I'm just gonna view X-Force through that lens going forward.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, we get a data page in Terra Verde after this. Apparently the nation wasn't doing so good. Then this president took over on a platform of reform, said, we're gonna dump all of our resources into organic technology. And the UN seems a little bit nervous about that, but a lot of the investors have pulled out at this point. The mutant nation announced their treaty thing to the world, said that they're also doing organic stuff, and the president was very mad and called it plagiarism, but apparently has walked back that and now wants to cooperate.
Uh-huh. Once again, the portrayal of, in this case, South American nations, not great. It's kind of common, this theme of South American countries and Central American countries being destabilized politically, economically, and then some sort of stability coming up, which is often the result of US intervention, most often military intervention. So I like how they reuse that kind of template here without any notice for the imperialist politics that are often around these, so-called stabilization of these countries.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. We're ignoring the other country where they were doing okay, and then a bunch of capitalistic corporations came in and poisoned all the water, which is why everybody got sick. So there was a little bit over there. But yeah, in this one, we're just kind of ignoring that.
Yeah, I also wonder why there's a line that you can draw in regards to how these two countries are portrayed around the conflicts they have with Krakoa's drugs. One of them because they desperately need them, another one because they're kind of producing it, which implies they exist within the global economy, but are not stable places, not good places, either resourcing to a crime or going all in on this super dangerous green technology,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of a really sick twist on countries that are trying to be green and carbon neutral and stuff like that. So yeah, not a big fan of these two examples here as the beacons of the South.
Yeah, I will say in this one's case, I do think the plant technology isn't supposed to be some evil thing as much as that's what Beast is trying to play it up as.
Yeah, there is some mention about the UN being anxious about the potential for weaponization of the research that this country is conducting.
Yeah.
But yeah, we don't really get much.
Like the one thing we do get seems to be like these people didn't actually lose their mind, which we'll get to like a little bit later in the issue. But yeah, my take from this was not much that like, oh, they made plant technology but evil. It was more that like Beast realized, oh, this might actually be a threat to Krakoa as like a world leader and put a stop to it because of that.
Yeah, I would agree with Tim there. That was kind of how I read it. Very similar to how if the US saw another country starting to come up with the same thing they were, and they would be like, no, no, no. We're not having that happen. You're not allowed to come up and step onto our turf over here.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. So we kind of get to that a little bit where, again, Beast is talking about how the battle still rages as they're killing a bunch of plant people.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
He equates this telefloronic infection as something similar to an Omega Sentinel, and that it is a version of the Omega cycle where a Nimrod could eventually be made, but along organic lines. Which, on one hand, that sounds absolutely sick, and I would love to see that. On the other hand, he's just trying to justify it to himself what he's about to do.
Yeah, like it. Like I think in the third like panel down, I guess like sixth panel, he immediately starts using the word, well, in theory, and then like almost everything after that is him just making more and more logical leaps.
Yeah,
But
you know, it's in theory they could make an atomic bomb. They haven't yet, but they could.
Like, oh yeah, this might evolve into an organic Nimrod later. Gene, you should kill everybody, leave no witnesses.
Yeah. And good for Jean, because she's immediately like, hey, whatever happened to not killing anybody? This wasn't really what I signed up for.
Yeah.
But Beast is pretty persuasive.
Yeah, and she still does it.
Yeah, she doesn't actually not do it. I would argue the Dark Phoenix is still within her because she can still murder when she needs to.
Yeah. Well, I think it's not...
There's... Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I don't know if I would just call this Dark Phoenix. This is very much like a her thing doing this. Like, she can go there too.
Yeah, I meant by Dark Phoenix of it's that ability is still within her. You know, the Dark Phoenix brought out her worst aspects, but deep down she could still murder and kill if she really wanted to, which she does here.
But
yeah, there's a lot of arguing over semantics here about what constitutes a human, which I think it's very funny because, again, we have such a flimsy law that it can be circumvented without regards for whether these creatures are sentient or deserve a mercy or deserve some sort of due process. As, you know, Beast kind of limits himself to the pure definition of human. He does say something that I find very gross, which is there is a certain point at which a cyborg becomes more robot than a human. Because, again, this is something we see in a lot of media about as technology gets added to people, which are often people with disabilities, they are understood to become less human, which is obviously wrong. So Beast talking about this progression, you know, as you start swapping out human parts for robot parts, you become less of a human to the point that you cease to be a human. without any regard for like sentience or what constitutes what the principle or the spirit of the rule that you would imagine is about protecting sentient beings who can't be resurrected the way mutants in Krakoa can. So this is again Beast making a very literal interpretation of what is a very flimsy rule that's full of holes and kind of ways to go around it, and then kind of disregarding the potential humanity of these creatures, or sentience at the very least, that would at least grant them some degree of mercy. But no, this is just, again, instrumentalizing these laws to feed their ends.
Yeah, and again, I honestly just like Beast has made so many logical leaps here. It feels more like he's looking for excuses more than anything. Like he starts referring to them as like, oh, these are like organic Omega Sentinels, and it's like based on what? You don't know that.
But I would also say I think this comic does a good job with that, because they aren't painting Beast as a hero here. They're not essentially outright saying he is a villain for all of these thoughts and everything he's doing right now, but they're not showing that it's a good thing either. It's kind of in this weird gray area where the comic's just like, hey, here is all of the actions that are being taken. You figure it out. What do you think about that?
Yeah, like I do think the impression from this is not that I don't think the impression you're supposed to get from this issue is that Beast is in the right. Because no, he is not.
No, he is not. And we're gonna see more of that. Because the president's son has been rescued. He is now also a plant person, standing on top of a very small temple, apparently, because it looks very tiny.
Yeah,
we're in South America.
Yeah,
remember?
we gotta have a temple. I don't know.
I don't understand the purpose for this other than being like, hey, look, remember where we are.
Yeah, this was weird. But yeah, he dons some plant armor, and we figure out that he staged his kidnapping to try to force his father's hand. He believed the country was almost there in terms of technology. And when they would develop that technology, they would become a really big deal, and humans wouldn't really need to go to Krakoa for their medicine anymore. And they wouldn't need to recognize the mutant nation. And Beast concludes that, that is what would have happened. So he has his lab destroyed, the revolutionaries burned to ash, doesn't tell the rest of X-Force about this, offers to interrogate him. And then he changes up some of the plant stuff and makes them eat his brain and lobotomizes this kid.
Yeah, Beast is not a hero. not in any way. Maybe if you wanted to look at this from an extreme nationalistic point of view, then yes, he is a hero to Krakoa because he is defending Krakoa to the extreme. But I don't even think the comic is trying to make that argument. This is all being shown and told as like, this is really sick and messed up what he's doing here.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. To be clear, I don't think the comic is trying to portray that as positive.
Yeah, no.
But I do think some of the arguments that Beast makes are kind of overlooking some additional thoughts that could be extrapolated out of them. But yeah, and we get to see some of that hubris come through in the last pages.
Yeah, so they give the son back to the president, and you have Beast's narration kind of over this, where he says it might seem cruel to lobotomize this kid, but wouldn't it also be cruel to inform President Cacombe that his son is a traitor? And like, dude, no.
Beast, you're trying to just justify your own actions. Because he also ends this by saying, hey, he signs the treaty, his people get medicine, and millions more are saved. Aren't I a hero? Didn't I do the right thing?
Yeah, and he says like, yeah, this is, it's a little wrong, makes a great right. And during this animation or like narration, we see the sun disintegrate, turn into a plant thing, go out the window, and turn into uh, a dude, like a plant dude.
In my notes for this scene, I wrote down, "A shame the sun goos away and becomes a goo man." So we're back on the goo train.
Yeah,
Yeah, he's basically a Terminator now.
yeah, like a plant Terminator. But yeah, interesting little hook. Also, just like I like the narration of Beast just like patting himself on the back during like this last panel of him just becoming like, like actually reforming as like a different person. Like Beast is just like the last line we get here is because I'm never wrong, and again demonstrably wrong.
Yes, immediately proven wrong.
Yeah.
But also, it's really good writing on Percy's part because you can feel Beast's smugness just coming through it, and it's great. Like, there are bits of X-Force that I haven't really gelled with over the last couple of issues. I think the way he writes Beast, even if I don't agree with it, is really well done. He knows how to write a character that is just up its own ass.
Yeah.
All right, well, before we hop over to the final issue of Fallen Angels, did you two have any last thoughts or comments on X-Force?
I'm glad we've already gotten to the long storied history of the CIA trying to mess with other countries.
And I'm sure we're only gonna go up from here,
Yeah.
As we know, after the CIA was formed, they never did anything wrong ever again.
It's issue 6.
I know, we're still so early.
Yeah.
Oh, well, we will see what other kind of war crimes Beasts come up with in a couple of episodes.
Yeah, exciting stuff. Anyway, do you want to get into it? Do we want to get into the main event?
Oh boy. I do, because we're opening up with about all the enthusiasm that Fallen Angels can muster, because this is Fallen Angels number 6, and we have lost our Japanese titles, and simply this one is called Conclusion. So that should tell you everything.
It sure is a conclusion.
Yep.
Sure is. Thank you to Brian Hill for writing this series. This last issue was released at the end of January 2020. And we are opening, once again, as Psylocke does not trust herself. Still, after all of these issues, she does not have the faith in herself that she can do this.
Yeah. You get some fun little puppet hands in this this fight scene here with everybody, as X-23 has kind of taken charge a little bit here, and they're trying not to kill anybody because they're being controlled by Apoth, I think. Honestly, a little bit unclear as to what's happening in this issue at any given time.
Yeah, I think that's implied.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We don't get to see much of the enemies they're fighting, if at all.
No,
other than Apoth.
Yeah, I want to talk about that a little bit more, but like we'll get to that. There's a page in particular, I think, where it's very confusing as to what is going on.
I think I know what page you're talking about, and I can't wait.
Yeah. So Psylocke says she's gonna go kill Apoth, who is up in a tower, I guess, like a skyscraper. They're in, like, where are they? Like Dubai or something?
They're in Dubai. I'm not making that mistake again. They are in Dubai.
Yeah. So
and yeah, somehow she knows Apoth is up on a building.
Yeah, Dubai has skyscrapers. Why not? So she goes up to the building and tells X-23 she's gonna go kill God, Laura, and she goes and does that. Oh yeah, did we mention that Bling and Husk are here? Because I don't know if the comic knows. They don't do much.
I think maybe Husk has a line, and that's it. Maybe. But important to note here, because Laura is going to say, Psylocke has her task, we have ours. Stop them, but keep them alive. Remember that, because in a couple of pages, the comic is gonna forget.
Yep. So, Psylocke jumps and makes psychic butterfly wings, which might be a new thing. and says the word fly. This is kind of cool. I wish it was earned.
Same. I think it's cool. It's super not earned. We also just had her last issue, or the issue before, I don't know, they're kind of blurring together at this point, where she says she wants to be her own person and stop taking what Betsy gave her. Betsy's whole thing is butterflies.
Yeah, I think there was a line earlier about how she likes butterflies too and like hates that it's something that they have in common. So maybe this is her trying to kind of like reclaim that a little bit, but yeah.
It's like you said, it's not earned.
Yeah. So she's gonna go do that. Cable says he has an idea to buy some time. Throws a thing down. It explodes. It's apparently modified phosphorus.
Not a thing. A semi-war crime that he's throwing down at these innocent civilians.
Yeah. I to be fair, I think the idea is this is more fire than phosphorus. So like he basically made a firewall.
I guess. I'm not entirely sure what the point of this is. We really didn't need that much of a panel or pages, I should say, because this is 2 pages of him throwing this down. And it basically comes down to, yeah, Cable's got some firepower.
Yeah, it's a wall of fire. Laura mentions that like, oh, do you have any more crazy with you? And there's like a whole back and forth about it. And I was like, was this crazy?
Yeah, people can shoot lasers out of their eyes. There's a man who can control magnetism. This isn't the weirdest thing. We do have Psylocke getting on top of the building where the prophet or follower of Apoth is there, who is now suddenly Apoth. I'm not sure when that transition happened, but sure, okay.
Yeah. She puts on the little thing.
Apoth still really, really wants her to be the mother of God, which we haven't entirely figured out what that actually means. It's kind of implied that Apoth just wants connection, or at least a familial connection, and that's why he really wants Psylocke to do this, but it's never really explored or explained.
Yeah, no, we don't. Meanwhile, back on the ground, someone busts through the fire, says, kill me. Cable, obliges, shoots him in the head, says he's already dead, and they have to save others or something.
Before I get into this whole thing about Cable just straight up murdering a man, as Psylocke is entering the Matrix, we cut back to Laura, where suddenly she says, we need to help Psylocke, or what's happening here will be around the world. And then Cable replies, I don't think that's what she wants, or she doesn't want our help. And Laura says that she doesn't care. A couple of pages ago, Laura just said, we're gonna stay down here and deal with this. The comic just readily forgets whatever it's talking about and just does something else every couple of pages. And this is gonna keep going until the end of this issue.
Yeah, this feels like they just hit the fast forward button, didn't really have anything for the B team down here. Like it really feels like they were just like they want to get Psylocke and Apoth in the same room so they can at least have this last confrontation, and that's all that. Everything else just kind of feels like window dressing, or like just set dressing to like get to that point.
Including this man that Cable just blows his head open, which I still don't understand why he did that. It's extremely out of character.
Yeah, it's weird. Psylocke makes a psychic shield, gets into a beam struggle with Apoth, who keeps changing forms into, like, people she knows, like her lover, or her master, or the child, I don't know.
I think... well, okay, this is for me, I don't know about the two of you, but when Apoth turns into her child, it kind of looks like Laura to me.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if that was intentional or not. I feel like if it was intentional, that's kind of the most interesting thing this comic has done this whole run. But I may be putting too much into this blurry artwork.
Yeah.
Yeah. Trying to depict mental battles with lasers and shields. It's the MCU way.
Yep. Our next page, I have no idea what's happening here. Laura does a backflip over some fire and, like, throws people.
Yeah, I don't understand this one either. I'm thinking this might be the phosphorus that Cable throw. I'm not sure why she jumps over it to just throw a bunch of people into each other like they're bowling pins, or why she had to do that. A good for Bling. You know, she now has a line, and Husk now has 2 lines. That's a lot.
Yeah. The beam struggle's still happening. Psylocke's winning, and then kills Apoth.
Who looks like her child. It's supposed to be emotional and evocative of Psylocke's loss. It sucks.
Yeah.
It's not good. Sergio, I feel like you are racked with emotions as we're going through this. What are your thoughts?
Oh, hello.
Oh,
hello. There.
Hi, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Yeah, this feels like a final boss fight. I am pressing A through to get it over with.
It's a QTE scene.
Yes, and it's not a good one.
I mean, there's stuff to be said, but it's not very compelling or interesting. Psylocke getting a weird armor in the virtual space is kind of funny.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I am kind of impressed by how few this issue had coming into it in terms of what it could work with. Like the building blocks that it had assembled before were not many, and still they used none of them and managed to make a pretty underwhelming 28 pages fight.
Yeah.
Yes.
In which not much happens.
Yes.
Bling and Husk feel like 2 characters that were supposed to get introduced to this team at some point and maybe do more. And how they're used here just feels like an afterthought almost. Like, oh yeah, we were supposed to have these characters here. We'll introduce them now. And they just... You had nothing for them. Why did you bring them?
I'm wondering if the decision to cancel this book came at the last minute. And maybe that was why they did get introduced in issue number 5, I think. Yeah. And they still had to be here, because if this book was canceled around issue 4, I don't think they would have been introduced.
Yeah, I really don't know. But yeah, this it just all feels... It all feels like an afterthought. There just really isn't a lot for a lot of these characters to do. Oh yeah, remember God? God shows up, says, oh yeah, Apoth had to make me because he needed a counterpart to whatever the hell he was. And says, with Apoth gone, I'm not needed anymore, and that's the end of that.
Bye.
Like,
bye.
Yeah, this is hinting at like some Gnosticism vibes. So I'm kind of glad we don't get to see much more of that.
Yeah, we don't really need it. Like,
yeah, I'm not a big fan of the ideology behind this anti-Apoth, because it describes itself as life is binary. Always, to be a god, you had to have an adversary. Not a fun line of thinking, because you can extrapolate that into a lot of problematic things. So I'm very happy that didn't really go anywhere.
Yeah. Back on Krakoa?
Yeah, problem is done. Apoth is dead after a single stab. I'm assuming Dubai is fine, because we have no idea. But it's okay, because Laura and Psylocke are friends now, and they have a hug.
Yeah, Psylocke lets Laura know she's breaking up the band. Laura asks what she's going to do. Psylocke says she wants to keep calling her a friend, and they hug. And Laura doesn't tell her that she's going to put on a Wolverine mask and go hang out in a vault for a very long time.
Nope. I totally forgot that's actually happening.
Yep.
Oh, wow. I forgot that. Oh, man, that makes this so awkward and weird.
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay. I'm jumping ahead a little bit, because I did look up an interview with Brian Hill that I'm going to talk about once we're done with this. But there was a point where it's discussed that he was actually very busy helping run Titans, the TV show, at this point.
Oh, he was straight up... Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and he was not actually available to make time to work on this comic with everybody else in the X-Men office. So that's why it's so disconnected.
Okay. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, so he
So
really didn't know what was going on with all the other comics at the time.
for a little let's just to wrap this up here, we go to Bar Sinister, Psylocke and Sinister, piece of overclock. I'm sure we'll see that again. Says, I would advise you not to do that. You should probably just destroy it, but you probably won't. And Mr. Sinister makes a promise that, or well, ask Psylocke if she can if he can call on her at some point. Bet that will never come up again. And Psylocke says, looks at the sunset, comments that she's doing a good thing, and that she can do good things, and that's the end of the comic. We get a little poem.
I'm gonna ignore the poem and just say it's always good to have a bit of self-affirmation,
Yeah.
Say that you do good things, and you did a good thing. You gotta be positive to yourself, regardless of what everybody says.
Yeah. Yeah, I looked at this poem and was like, good for you, or congratulations, or I'm sorry for your loss. And then we get a I can make you butterflies quote from Psylocke, and yeah, we're done. No more fallen angels. That's it.
We did it! Yay!
Yay!
We're done. Oh boy.
Well, that's over with.
That happened. That certainly was a comic. We talked about this a couple of times, because I read all of these comics when they first released. I dropped Fallen Angels at like issue number 3 or 4 when they released, so I never actually finished it. This is the first time I'm actually finishing it.
Oh, aren't you excited?
Wow, it didn't get better. In
Yep.
fact, it somehow got worse, and I think that's a feat.
Yeah, maybe the better thing I can say about this issue is it's pretty harmless in the end.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would agree with that. It just wraps itself up and is like, all right, we're done. Goodbye.
Yeah.
So, I feel weird criticizing a piece of media this harshly, especially from a creator that has said afterwards that he knows he didn't do this very well. Bryan Hill has come out and said, hey, comics aren't my thing. I didn't do that good of a job. So it feels weird to jump on him, because I imagine that it's not very easy to figure out on such a public stage. But this is easily one of the worst comics I think I've ever read. I have not read a lot of comics in the grand scheme of things. I know Tim has, but this is not a good one. It's really not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's fine. It's a thing that exists. It's fine to talk about it, even if it's not good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think it's fine to talk about, and it is part of the X-Men history now. It was at the birth of Krakoa, which it still exists as of this recording. It's gone on for 4 years at this point. And who knows how far it's going to go, but it's certainly a big part of the mythos now.
Yeah, and if Bryan Hill, you want to come on the podcast, we'll be happy to interview you and get your side of the story.
Yeah, I'm honestly like very... I want to look more into this about it, because I truly do not think this reflects on him as an artist or like a creator. Like, it just... It's one of those things where it just happened, and just sometimes, like, not everything works out quite how you want it to.
Yeah, and I mean, Tim, you were telling me at one point that, his episodes of Titan are, pretty good, they're fun. So, and I'm sure his other creative endeavors are fine, it's just for whatever reason, comics didn't work out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they meet the gold standards of television that the CW represents?
Okay,
that's a whole other podcast.
That's fair. Okay, Titans. To be fair, is not a CW show. This is a show for.
Oh, is it not?
Yeah, no, it was I want to say Max, but it was So it was originally created for DC Universe, like that DC exclusive like streaming service.
Oh wow, I forgot about that.
Yeah, so then once they realized that maybe there's not too much of a market, that got folded into HBO Max proper and got moved over there. Which it ended right before it turned into Max instead of HBO Max, which I think is kind of funny. But yeah, so yeah, not a CW show.
Okay, I stand corrected. It's HBO where all the good decisions are being made.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
And am I going to say this writing is much better than a CW show? No. It is not. But you know,
I was gonna say I don't know if it is a positive or a negative that I also thought it was a CW show. Take from that what you will. I do know they're fun. I mean, I did like The Flash and The Arrow season 1 for each of them. So,
yeah,
there's good.
Don't watch any more of The Flash. Don't. You did it. You've seen the only good parts.
I think I'm okay. I trust you. Which, for context, Tim has watched everything. We try to stop him from doing this to himself, but he keeps doing it.
I don't want to talk about it.
That's okay, we don't have to talk about it. I did look up an interview with Brian Hill that I can talk about, though.
Okay.
So this is from AIPT Comics. This was an interview by Chris Hassan. This was right before Fallen Angels first came out. So this is when they're still building up the excitement of the comics over, what was it? Early 2019. So what I got from that was a bunch of stuff. For interest, no shock. He really likes Bushido and loves the philosophy behind it. In fact, he practices it daily, which should not surprise anybody.
Yeah, I'm not shocked.
Nope. I did learn that he is actually a personal friend of John Hickman, and originally he was not going to write a comic, but Hickman really wanted him to join in this project he was doing, and the only reason he said yes is because Hickman gave him a general rundown of the comic book lore and history leading up to this event. He said he was an active comics reader about early mid-2000s, but dropped off of it because he couldn't keep up with all of the story going on.
Yeah.
Mood.
Yeah, I feel that.
Yeah, no, absolute mood. Also explains some of the odd choices made for Laura in this. I've read the previous Wolverine comic she is in right before this, and it's fantastic. Absolutely reset the character when it came to this comic. It's very weird.
Oh yeah, if his experience with Laura is just like older X-23 stuff,
or even a too long didn't read from Hickman.
Yeah,
that makes sense. He says what his plan was for the book. He said, quote, "I told Hickman I wanted to do something that was lyrical, philosophical, and about the role that warriors play in utopia. I wanted to explore identity and purpose and how peace itself can be an enemy. I also wanted to explore what would happen if mutants left humanity to evolve itself, and what the role technology would be in that." Which I think are all points all of us have pointed out over this podcast. So we got his points, as he was putting them in. It just didn't play out very well, but hey, that's something.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a very generous reading of what we said, but yeah.
I'm trying to put it as nicely as possible. And he talks about a bit more how he says this book is a bit about adolescence as well, and he kind of sees himself in some of these characters and what they're going through. Kind of traditional creator talk, when being interviewed about their work. Sergio, I picked this one out specifically for you, but he's talking about Xavier, where he says, "There's a bit of fascism in what Xavier is doing, a danger in it, and that raises the stakes. It's very fun."
Oh, word?
Yeah. No, he just immediately calls out Xavier as a fascist and is like, yep, that's what he's doing.
Just a tiny bit.
Yeah.
A little bit of fascism.
Just smidgen of fascism.
Yeah, just, like a dollop.
And then the last bit I have is while I was looking up for the interview and all of this stuff, which outside of the initial interviews Brian Hill did before it came out, he doesn't really talk about it again, which I don't blame him. I couldn't really find anything more recent from him, but I did find a very interesting panel from San Diego Comic-Con of 2019. It looks like the cover for issue number 6 that we're reading was originally the cover for issue number 5. So it definitely plays along with the, oops, we canceled this way early.
Yeah, and again, if I remember right, I think he got like another job and was just decided not to continue with it because of that. But yeah, no, yeah, that's the cover, all right. So yeah, I'm
Mm-hmm.
guessing this
Yeah.
played out pretty differently than how it was originally.
Yes, and I would love to know a bit more of the behind the scenes, what really goes on with the decisions of why they cancel a book. Was it sales? Was it reviews? Was it a combo of the both of them? Was it just because Brian Hill got busy?
I think with this one, it was originally announced as being on hiatus, but by the time I think issue 6 rolled around, I think everyone was like, okay, yeah, it's done. So I don't know if it was a decision of just like, we're canceling it because it got like bad reviews or whatnot. I think it was a combination of him getting another opportunity. If again, this is all guesswork, but I'm assuming it was him getting another opportunity and also just maybe not being super enthusiastic about the things he had put out there in the medium at that point. Like
Yeah.
just based on what he said, I am under no illusion that he thought what he was writing was like a good comic.
Yeah, that's fair. You can just walk out.
Yeah.
Hmm. Just leave. But, that is Fallen Angels in its entirety, in its glorious package of what it is.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I think that will do it for us for this episode.
Yeah, I think it will, ending on the high note that is Fallen Angels, with unfortunately no more of that. But on the positive, we are going to be starting Wolverine in about 2 episodes. And then a couple episodes after that, we start getting into the giant-sized X-Men issues, and those are fun. I'm very much looking forward to those.
Yeah, so
Yeah, I'm looking forward to whatever comes next.
yeah. So on our next
Kind of
episode,
ready for a change.
yeah, I agree. I want to see what we got coming up after this. And for our next episode, we are going to be doing X-Men number 7, Marauders number 7, and New Mutants number 7. Got a double dose of Hickman coming up.
Yes, and starting from that one, the reading order is going to get a little funky, only because some issues are grouped together, some are, farther apart. We are going to be posting on our social media accounts the reading order if you would like to see it. We are following the Dawn of X omnibus reading orders, so if you have those, they are going to be in the order that we're reading them. We're discussing also reading the Fantastic Four and X-Men crossover, as well as the Empire event that happens. We'll let you know when we do those. They're likely just going to be one-off episodes where we talk about just that specific event. But that should be coming up, within a couple of episodes, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Soon.
All right. Soon. Very soon. But until then, thank you so much for listening. If you could rate us on your favorite podcasting app of choice, that would be awesome. It would help us reach more viewers and get more people to read along with us and enjoy this era of the X-Men. If you are looking for this podcast on any social media, you can find it at Study of X on Twitter and on Tumblr. If you had any questions, comments, your Fallen Angels love that you absolutely have to get on air somewhere, you can send us an email at studyofx@gmail.com, and we may just read it on the air, we may not, depends. But if you are looking for us individually, you can find me at Soniques on Twitter. That is SAWNEEKS. I don't post there too much anymore, but if you need to get in contact with me, that's the best way to do it. And Sergio, where can they find you?
People can find me at Fireblend, FIREBLEND, and they can also find me at the other podcast that I do, Stray Reads, which is a book club podcast. On which Chris recently made an appearance for a very fun Beowulf episode.
Yes, you get to hear me geek out about history for a little bit. It was so much fun. I really enjoyed being on that, being with you guys.
Yeah. Thanks.
And
it was great.
Tim, if they are looking for you in the Matrix Apoth-verse, where can they find you?
Well, my remnants are on a piece of overclock that is currently sitting somewhere in a dresser in the dark room of Bar Sinister. So, yeah, probably there. It would be better if it was destroyed.
Congratulations, or I'm sorry. Maybe both. I'm not actually sure.
Yep.
Is Bar Sinister actually a bar?
No.
No. It probably has a bar?
I bet it does.
I bet it does.
Okay,
that
that's
feels like a
disappointing.
Sinister thing. But yeah, it is kind of disappointing.
Yeah, it feels like it should be.
You know, if I had the money to do it, I would open up a pop-up bar somewhere in LA and just call it Bar Sinister for a bit and have like X-Men drinks.
You have like free labor because Sinister can like duplicate himself.
Yeah. You just have your clones like work it. Eventually, they might try to kill you.
Yeah, or unionize. I'm not sure which.
That'd be fun. Now that's an idea for us.
Yeah. Like,
What happened when my clones unionized?
yeah.
Hey, I'd be down to do that.
Okay.
Well, until next time. Later, mutants.
Bye.